So we begin a journey today of about 7-8 weeks. And putting together with it Tuesday night, starting this Tuesday. Through a book called The Spiritual Quest. Now I had someone talk to me this morning about it and said, I read the first chapter and I opened the book and it seemed really simple. It has lots of pictures and a whole lot of white space, but I can tell you in those paragraphs, there's more packed in there than any book that I have experienced. So I'm looking forward to this. This is, as I've said many times, you've heard me say, I can't teach unless it's my experience. This has been my experience for over 20 years. I talked about that last week. If some of you missed that, it'll give you the background knowledge of how we got here today and what we're going to be doing over this. The other thing I wanted to share, I had someone this week who's fairly new asked me, what's my background? And I said, well, it's eclectic. It's the only way I know to say it. I grew up as a son of a Mennonite bishop in Landisville. You know, the name wasn't named after me. If it would have had a picture of black sheep under it. Infamous, that's what it would have been named after. Somewhere around 13 or 15, and somewhere in that time period, I left the Mennonite church because I couldn't get answers. It made no sense to me that a God that's love would damn me to eternal damnation and hell and fire. I said that just didn't hang. I also didn't believe that I was born a sinner. And they couldn't explain it very well, so I said, I'm out of here. Well, you can imagine how that went over with the bishop. Not too good. But I look back on it, I'm so grateful for the teaching because I'm pretty well versed in the Bible. I know it probably better than most because I had to go 3 and 4 times a week in those early days. But my journey after that, when I left it, was I didn't want to have anything to do with God or Jesus or anything like that. And my whole journey became more Eastern. I became a Taoist. I studied Qigong. I studied yoga. I studied Reiki. All those things that had nothing to do with what I was brought up in. And what was so amazing in that journey, I found out that everything they were talking about was the same thing they were talking about, except the society and the culture was different and the words were different. But when you look at it all, what's been presented to the human beings over the spiritual journey, there's one truth, many voices. And so that became who I was. About 8-9 years ago, I began to do the journey with Unity Ministerial School, and I said last week the only reason I joined it was because Charles Fillmore said, as new things come along, I reserve the right to change my mind. And it was the only founder of a religious movement that said, I'm not going to get stuck in dogma the rest of my life because new stuff's coming. If you believe in a living presence, how could what was taught 2,000, 6,000 years be the only truth? And that's what attracted me to the teaching, and that's kind of what I've followed. That's been my mantra, is where I'm looking for truth wherever I can find it, and I know truth one way, in here. Is it true for me? Your truth cannot be my truth. My truth cannot be your truth. So all I can do is share with you what I have learned and what has worked for me, and you weigh it out. And you say, well, this works for me, this doesn't make sense. What I'm going to share with you today, I first started to study 20-some years ago, and I walked away from it because I didn't understand it at the time. I wasn't ready for it. So wherever you are in your journey, here's what I want you to know today. It's perfect. You're exactly where you're supposed to be here and now. There's nothing you have to do to fix yourself. Nothing. And as we own that perfection within us, it begins to drop away all this guilt and angst over, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. Because when we hold ourselves to that, that's called being what? Guilty. What happens when we're guilty? we have to punish ourselves. That's called sabotage. We don't need any of that. In our spiritual journey, in our life, where you are in this moment is absolutely perfect. And here's what I know from the very essence of my DNA, that all of us here and everyone on this planet is going to get it there. They're going to make it back to source. So when you start to get angst or anxious about yourself, or you're not worthy or good enough, or you're falling behind, take a deep breath and let it go. All right? Because it's all good. The creator of us is only good. Therefore, you and I can only be good. Well, I didn't know I was going to start preaching already. All right, you never know when that happens. It just starts happening. I tell you, I'm so excited to come on Sundays because I have no idea what's going to show up till I get here. So Tuesday night, we're going deeper to go higher class. 7 o'clock right here. We're going to take what we're doing today, the cliff notes of today, and then we're going to go deeper. Because you've heard me again, last Sunday I started talking about it. It's about, look, you can only do one of two things. You can study the divine, or you can experience the divine. You cannot do both. Now, do you need to study some to get here? Yeah, sure. But the problem is, in the West, we've been taught, well, I got to get the next book. You know, Hay House has taught us really well. There's always another spiritual book coming out, and I got to go get it for $29.95 and get it shipped to me immediately, so I am spiritual. You already are. That's who you were created, a spiritual being. And that's what we're going to get in touch with more and more and more through this series. Before we do, I want to celebrate the folks that came on Tuesday. We did 165 shower kits for the Harrisburg's homeless. By the way, I don't think you can see that picture, but way behind there on the bottom on the ground is Lois's new 4-legged daughter, laying on a blanket over there. But it was a wonderful time because we came together to do something good that had nothing to do with us. That's called service. And Jesus, the master teacher, taught this. He said, how you treat the untouchables of society, those in prison, those lepers, those who are homeless, is how you treat the God within yourself. That's what service is all about. That's why love has to be lived out. You cannot hold love inside you. It turns into a cesspool. It has to be lived out. It has to be shared. It has to be shown compassion and acceptance of all people. And what I love about this is we were living out our two core values. One today we talked about love, and the one we talked about last week, service. This is what it's about, and we're going to be doing more and more of that, because if you want to participate in this unconditional love that flows through us, if we don't give, it stops up and stops flowing. So we got to find more ways to do this, and we're going to be doing that in the future, and I'm excited about it. So who are we? Why are we here? What determines a successful life? Can I find meaning in my life? We have all at some point in time, in some manner, asked these questions of ourselves. And many times, there are no answers. I had got no answers from the fundamental religion that I was brought up in. And as I shared last week, I got no answers from some questions I had when I went to ministerial school. No one has the answers for you. They don't. I don't have the answers for you. I can only share what works for me. The answers for you are inside you. And when you get connected with the truth about you, that's when life begins to change. Not before. So what if life was truly a sacred adventure? What if? Somehow we got caught up in the day-to-day grind of money and jobs and careers and relationships and all of this stuff that's important because we're in the physical. We need it. We need to do it. But it's not an and or but, it's an and. We can have all those things. We can function very well in this physical world and still be on a spiritual, sacred adventure at the same time. And I'm here to say for me, as I got more and more in touch with my sacred spiritual adventure, my life got better. All the other things start to take care of itself. Because built into this training is what? Success, abundance. The master teacher said, I am come so that you can have life, what? More abundantly. He didn't say in poverty. No. Get rich in all areas. Not just in money either, but includes money. I talked a little bit about this last week, about ascension. It's a word that makes a lot of people nervous. It's like, oh, that's a religious word. It's just a word, just like all other words. But what if ascension, if what it means is that at some point in time in this journey, we no longer need to come back here, and we can go to a higher place? What if that was the true goal for you and I, and we just plain forgot? Because we got involved in all the stuff that was going on here in the physical. And it's, again, it's not a but, it's and. We can be both. We studied a couple months ago the Tao Te Ching and what paradox is. The spiritual journey is about paradox. It's be able to expand your mind beyond your Western training and be able to say, and. I can do the physical and the spiritual. And when I do, I become whole. I become one within myself, and I'm able to do all of it even better than when I thought it was only one track. So let's go to creator, source of life. God the Father, God the Mother. I use both of these. Because I don't know about anything in the universe that I know of that can come together and just have God the Father, just the Father. There has to be another side. There has to be plus, minus, there has to be male, female. And somehow, I wonder who wrote the Bible, decided to drop out mother. You think? Yeah, they were probably very insecure men, don't you think? Yeah. So you're going to hear me use this term a lot through this series as father, mother, because those two come together, and I'm going to show you an example that comes out of this book that begins to describe it better than I know the West has done. In Taoism, in the East, this Wu Qi is this idea of the complete void. It's neither plus or minus, but out of the void comes the Tai Chi ball. You've seen that, the yin and the yang. The male and the female in complete, total harmony, in balance. Not male more important than female. That has never been the design of the universe. It was designed in concert. It was designed in harmony. It was designed in balance, as you and I have been. Because whether you know it or not, or can embrace it, you and I both have both male and female within us. And those of us who learn to balance that in ourselves are those who are much more in harmony and balance in the physical. So it looks like this coming out of the book. From source to twin flames, it's called. Out of Wu Qi, they don't call it that, they call it the white flame and spark, comes this male-female polarity of the Tai Chi ball, and from that comes these souls that were created. I don't know a better explanation I haven't found from anywhere. You know, when I would ask this question when I was 13, they said, well, you don't need to ask that, just believe that that's what happened. Well, I didn't even want to believe what happened, because they couldn't get me an explanation. So this you will see in many Eastern religions, very typical of what they're talking about is how individual souls come out of the total of the white fire core, or the Father, Mother, God. And each soul then forms this causal body, very similar to what we saw in the I Am Presence, right? And these rings of colors signify energy. They signify frequencies, vibrations that we've been studying over the last couple of weeks, months. Some of you who have read the Bible and know that it says in there, the master teacher said, don't be so concerned what you do here in the physical, be concerned about what you store treasures in heaven. To me, this is the explanation of what those treasures in heaven are. This causal body that we have around us as part of who we are is where this is stored. I also believe, as they teach in this book, that when our soul leaves the physical and we go back to spirit, this comes with us. This is the written record of all the good that we did. So that's the storing of treasure. Whatever good thoughts you've had, whatever good words, whatever good attitude, whatever good actions you've had are stored with you, and they go with you as an electronic presence, I guess, or some frequency. As is those misuses of that you and I have done. When we've taken this life force energy that comes through and we turn it into something that's not true. I am angry. I am sick. I am depressed. That's using I am in a way that's a misuse of the true, perfect source energy that flows through us. And so, as I said earlier, the universe is a circular universe. What we put out comes back. The way Jesus wrote it in the Bible was, what you sow, you harvest. It's the comeback, the boomerang effect. And we saw that when we studied the law of attraction. All fits into the vibration of it and how we attract what we want, and we also attract what we don't want. I love this picture because it's the only one I've found that makes sense to me. And so it's the source energy, God, some people use. You're going to see me not use it as much, and I'll tell you exactly why. Not that I have anything against the word, but I still have a lot of negatives that come with that word. I was taught at a very young age a lot of negatives about God, a vengeful God, the Old Testament God. And sometimes I still have that pull in. I got to release it and say, no, that's not true. It's a God of love, and it's a God of oneness, and a God of perfection, and a God who loves me unconditionally. So I'm constantly still doing that. I imagine some of you are. But source energy, God, I am, is connected to, and I love this word, you and I are life streams. We are streams of life. We are the life force who come to the physical. And we're connected by this silver cord. The silver cord is talked about in the Bible. It's talked about in the Bhagavad Gita. It's talked about in Taoism. It's the silver cord that connects you to source. It's the same kind of cord that you had when you were in your mother's womb and you were connected at the belly button to sustain your life. This sustains you in your life force energy. I said this last week, anyone who had the incredible honor to be present when someone transitions sees this energy leave. The life force, the spirit inside the body leaves, and the body collapses almost immediately. You can actually see it collapse. So that's where, this is the way they describe it here. And what I love about this for finally shows how we are connected in oneness. I mean, I look at you and you look at me and we're physically separated, are we not? And you say, well, yeah, but we're one. No, we're separated. But again, it's not a but, it's an and. We can be separated in the physical, but we are connected this way in spirit. Back through source energy, through the I am that I am presence, God, what Brahman, whatever word you use that works for you, we are connected that way spiritually. Now, I can connect with you energetically and vibrationally on this plane, can I not? You know what that feels like. You've walked into rooms where there was an instant connection with someone. You go, wow, I don't know what that was, right? You've also had the other experience. I don't want anything to do with that one. Because that's the connection on the physical. How do we get there? The life energy comes through us. We make a choice and a decision and a judgment about the other person. And either our heart space opens up and we connect, or it shuts down and we disconnect. We withhold the love. We get to do that. We choose to do that at all times. And so I've used this chart. We'll come back to it many times. It's the chart of our divine self. This is all of you and all of me. This is the Trinity of you as there is a Trinity of the divine. You know, we all have heard that, right? God, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Well, this is our Trinity. As above, so below. It always mirrors, right? Whatever's happened up there happens down here. The Trinity here is, at very top of us, is the I am presence. And we're going to talk about that. Then our true self, or Christ, or Buddha nature, is the mediator between. And then that's us at the bottom in the physical. This is the I am presence. Another way to say that is God within you. That's what I am presence means. The God within me. And this will be us in the light tube, surrounded by the violet fire. And we're going to talk more and more over the next couple of weeks what that can do and why it's for. But just as DNA gives a structure for our physical life, our DNA comes from where? Mother, father, right? In the physical. Well, we have a structure like that it's called divine plan or dharma. It's your purpose for being here spiritually. Now, you still have free will choice, so do I. Everyone does. But this is our structure that we come here on this planet, and this is the overall plan that our soul has for what is ours to do. And you say, well, I'm having trouble finding out what that is. Then you didn't ask. Ask, believe that you will receive, and you will. The way in my coaching, what I have people do is actually sit down with a piece of paper and pen and write out. I am so confused. Will you please help me understand what my divine plan is? And then sit and be quiet. And you may have to come back a couple days, but you will be told exactly what it is. Because that wisdom that I just talked about that comes through the silver cord comes directly into you. And out of that, this whole divine plan, this dharma, comes from our Father, Mother, God, or the divine, just as the DNA comes from our parents here in the physical. So I've talked a lot already. We're going to practice this. So the Sanskrit has a word called A-U-M, Om, or O-M, Om, which is the sound of creation. It's the syllable of the universe. A-U-M, A is alpha, M stands for omega or mother, and U is you in the middle. All one. There's another way to look at this. But it returns us to the heart of Source. It returns us to Brahman, to God's heart. And you've heard many Tibetan monks have done it. Well, we're going to do it right here in Nola. But I'm going to teach you a way to do it just simply. But before we do, this is the symbol in Sanskrit. And on that 3, the big top of that, it stands for heaven. The bottom stands for earth. And over there in that little crescent is for eternity, with the little round dot is you, self. That's kind of what's built into this whole symbol. And you'll see it over and over and over again. Many times you've probably seen it, not even understood what it was. But it's a symbol of this perfection of sound that we can get connected. And we're going to talk a little bit in a moment about the importance of sound. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do, we're going to do it 9 times. And what I'm going to do is have you breathe deeply, feel the inside, feel your core, and at the very top we begin to exhale. And I'm going to ask you today just to do it silently or quietly to yourself, just intone on the exhale, okay? And everybody breathes differently, so I'm just going to do it. Keep counting your fingers, that's what I do. And do it for 9 times. And the reason I want you to do this, I want you to feel the connection to source energy, all right? So it's the first thing we're going to do today to participate at a different level. So if you just get quiet, close your eyes, and as you breathe up, just intone to yourself silently if you wish. And just do 9 times. after you finish your 9 times, just sit with that energy for a moment. So what did you feel? Did you feel chaos? What happened to the monkey mind? Somebody's waving away the monkey mind. Gone. That took not 2 minutes. You have that connection to the divine available to you 24/7. That's all you have to do. You don't have to get in robes. You don't have to shake your head. You don't have to burn incense. You don't have to read a whole bunch of books. Just breathe and get connected with your source at the core of you, and let everything else go. It doesn't have to be any more complex than that. All right? I get the pleasure to be up front here, and I can feel the energy change as you all get connected at a different level. It takes you beyond monkey mind. It takes you beyond the rational thinking. And if your thoughts come up, it's okay. Don't judge. Don't condemn yourself. Just keep breathing and go back. Now, when you're by yourself at home, when you actually let it out, you will find even a more intense experience, because this is our power center. And when we let sound out, we let words out, this is where it will take you to a whole nother level. My suggestion is that you include this in your morning and evening practice. As soon as you get up in the morning, it will center you in the divine energy, and it will center you in the divine energy before you go to sleep. Science has now proven where you are in the moment you sleep, it lasts for another 4 hours. I don't know about you, but this is where I want to sleep, right? Peace and harmony and balance. So let's go on. We want to talk about the soul's journey. So we're going from spirit now to matter. We're going to come to the earth. When was the first time you came to earth? I don't know, maybe 1,000 lifetimes ago. Maybe 1,000,000, I don't know. That's my belief system. I can't believe that this incredible universe and this amazing power and wisdom would only give me 80 years to get it right once. Doesn't even make sense to me. But that's my belief, and it doesn't mean it has to be yours. So we come to this earth classroom, and I like this word because this is what it is. It's the planet of lessons, where we get to work out in the physical what we've been told. We have 2 things that we were told that we get. Number 1 is we get free will, the power to choose. Every human being who comes to this planet has this power. Most of them it's unconscious. They don't know they have the power. They think they're victims of the economy and the president, the religious leaders, whatever. They're not. But they believe they are, so it's therefore true. You and I probably have lived that before, being a victim. But as you begin to own your personal powers, I talked about in the very beginning, of learning that no one, no thing can make you unhappy or happy, is this power of choice. I was coaching someone this week, and they said, how can I ever possibly be happy when I'm so unhappy? And those of you who have worked with me know exactly what I'm going to do. I put out 2 hands and I go, chocolate, vanilla. Choose. That's it. That's the secret of the universe. It is no more complex than you get to choose. Do you want to be happy? Do you want to be unhappy? Choose. Because that person ain't changing. They've been doing that for 42 years. You get to change, put different meaning to it by choice. That's number one. Number two, we were told to come here and take dominion over the earth. That does not mean to come here and take control over anyone else. When it uses the word earth here, it means my life, my being, my consciousness, my experience, and no one else's. Anyone who uses this to manipulate it to, I'm here to control you and take dominion over you, that's a lie. That is not what was taught. What is taught is that you and I have full control over our lives. And the way we do that through personal power is chocolate vanilla. So we get to come here and become co-creators, not creators. As I've said before, you've heard me say this, Bill Gates can't create a lima bean with all his billions. He can grow them, but he can't create them. And you and I can't create life force. But we can, through what we've learned through choice and through our vibrations, we have control of what our experience is because of the law of attraction. We become co-creators with Source, if we choose. Or we can stay ignorant and unconscious and live out of what? Patterns that we picked up by the time we were 7. And we just keep repeating them and repeating and repeating. You all know people who have lived like that and they never change till they're 89 and leave. That's okay. That was their journey this time around, is the way I look at it. I don't know about you, but I'd like that other goal we talked about early in this process to ascend from this and not have to come back and do it again. So we start, as you saw in the book, we come into what's called the etheric plane. The etheric plane is the plane above the gravity, it's above the physical earth. It's not as dense and it has much higher energy. And that's where we begin to go from pure soul, pure spirit, and begin to acclimate into this much denser environment that we enter. And it gets progressively denser and heavier. I don't know about you, but I have had this experience and this feeling in my life that life is heavy. Anybody ever felt that besides me? That's what we're feeling. It's like we came from no heavy to just being light and joy and love and harmony into this that's completely different from that. But that's what this journey is about, is for us to learn the lessons in the classroom and move beyond it. And in this denser energy, we have to be bringing the light into our own being, or we get weighed down in what's going on around us. But slowly but surely, over many lifetimes, we begin to forget who we are and why we're here. And we begin to develop what's called an ego, and an ego is separate from God. Ego stands for edging God out. And I can do it better than anybody. Right? Yeah. That's the whole story of Adam and Eve. When they ate of the tree of good and evil, right? They said, well, we can do this better than God can. And out of Eden they went. Well, you and I do the same thing. Why? Because we're in the classroom to learn this. And to transcend the ego, to become, not even become, it's to wake up to who we are. We already are spiritual beings. We already are perfect as the essence of Source is perfect. So the ego creates the illusion that you and I are separate from Source and we're separate from each other. And we say, well, that makes sense. I can see I'm separate from you, so I must be separate from God. And then we have this very fundamental religions which teach us who we are, right? There's a God out there. Got a big black book and he's going, well, Dan did that, and boy, is he guilty. No, the whole teaching was a lie. It's not true. The essence of spirit, the essence of God is inside you and me. Jesus taught that. Somehow they took his words and completely manipulated them. He said, the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven is within you and within me. He didn't say it was out there, some vengeful God. He says it's within you, and it's nothing but love. And there's only two laws. Love God with all your heart, body, mind, and soul. And love others as you love yourself. The as you love yourself gets forgotten. But I got news for you. You can only experience the love of the divine at the level you love yourself. Let me say that again, because I don't want you to miss it. You can only experience the love of God at the level that you love yourself. And you can only love someone else at the level that you love yourself. Otherwise, you have nothing to give. I can say the words, I love you, I love you, I love you, and I hate me. There's no love there. Right? It's just words. I have a question for you. Close your eyes. It's not a question, it's a statement for yourself. I love myself without any conditions. I love myself unconditionally. I love myself. All right, I'm running out of time here today. I know I would. I know it's not. If you felt resistance when you said those three things, it's okay. There's your work to do. Because until you can love yourself without any condition, you cannot be loved without conditions. And you cannot love anyone else. And we all have resistance to it. Because we were taught that that was narcissistic. That's a lie. We have to get to the place where we fully accept and love ourselves. And then we can open up to what we're experiencing. Going back to this picture again. You'll see it many times in 7, 8 weeks. We are all connected with what? Love. It's the force of the universe. But we cannot participate in it any further than what we love ourselves. And if you get anything else on this 7, 8 week journey we're on, is this. This is the central theme of what we're going to be talking about, is increasing the love that you have for yourself so that you can feel the love from the divine. So, of course, I have another example to participate. This time what I want you to do is we're going to breathe deeply. Again, we're going to do it 9 times. Get back to your core. And as you inhale, I want you to inhale the whole way up to I am presence on the chart. Now, the book will teach you that the I am presence is somewhere between 7 and 70 feet above you. That has to do with who you are and what you believe. But whatever it is, and you may not get there today, but try. As you breathe up, just go on up. Let your focus be above your head and go up as high as you can and connect with that. And then breathe down and exhale, and to yourself say, I am that I am. Why? That's the name God said is my name for generations. And here's what I want you to do with it. I want you to see it in your heart, across your heart chakra. Heart chakra is pink. It has 12 petals. As they open up to love, but right it across your heart. I am that I am. All right, we're going to do 9 of those on your own. So, what'd you feel? Where went the monkey mind? Did you go deeper than the last one? is very powerful, and you saw how short it was. But it's connecting with God. You're using God's name. You know, when I want to get your attention, I'll say, Carol. Carol will walk in, we'll have a conversation. We commune. It's the same with God. He said this, she said, this is my name for generations. Well, if we don't use the name, we probably don't get connected. But again, it's another exercise you can add to your morning and evening practice. Because this is all about getting closer to opening up, loving yourself, but also feeling the love that flows through you as a light stream. Another way is to begin to open up a normal conversation in the car when you're driving. Simply begin to talk like it's a best friend. My beloved, I am present. Will you help me decide what I should do today? Open up that conversation and watch what happens. But remember that source energy cannot override your free will choice. And if you choose not to ask, you're not going to get the guidance. But when you choose to ask, you will always get the guidance. It's the promise. Now, you have to be quiet sometimes to hear the still small voice. Because when the voice you're hearing is loud, it's probably your ego. Ego always wants first dibs, right? Wants to eat it all before anybody else gets it because it's starving. That's not what this is. This is still small voice. And as you get connected with it and get the source, you begin to hear it. Live out the power and wisdom and love of source. We don't have to choose on our own. A choice can be, help me. That's me making choice. That's me using my free will to connect with the guidance of the divine. And I got news for you. It wants involved in every detail of your life. Because I've had people say, well, that's just a small detail. I need to handle it. Which one of me just said that? I edged God out, didn't I? I said, well, it's such a small detail. You know it. I got it. I got this. Being this is the first of this series, I'm probably going to go a little bit longer today. Is that okay? Not a lot, but I know I'm running out of time. Normal time. The secret to transforming our lives, I'm going to move into very quickly here because we're going to talk about a lot. In the East, the universe is seen as an ocean of sound and light. That's Taoism, that's Bhagavad Gita, that's... In the West, we don't see it that way. We're not taught that. So we are not connected with the vibrations like they are in the East, which makes a lot of this teaching much easier for them because it's how they were raised. The Vedas came before Bhagavad Gita, ancient teachings, said this, in the beginning was Brahman, with whom was the Word, and the Word was Brahman. Brahman is their word for God. And the Bible says this, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Not much difference, huh? Thousands of years, crossed oceans and continents, one truth, different voice. Different words, same truth. In Genesis, it said God spoke the word, and said, let there be light. Here's a real good clue. You want to create something in your life? Use this affirmation. Let there be joy. Let there be happiness. Let there be abundance. You're in alignment with the way the divine used word and used spoken word to make it. So the power and wisdom and love of the divine it exists. It exists, Alpha, Omega, before the beginning and will exist forever. It never changes. It's absolute. You and I have to bring it into us. Invoke it. Pull it down. Why? Free will choice. Chocolate. The divine will never override your free will, your power of choice. That's your personal power. And if he did, then you'd be just a robot. right? Have a bunch of little robots running around doing what God said to do. That's not why He created us. He gave us the opportunity to come to the classroom to choose. We can access all of this, all of the divine, by drawing it into us. And we do that through the spoken word. And we're going to talk about a lot about that in the next couple of words, the science of the spoken word. That's part of why I introduced 12, 13 weeks ago, doing decrees, doing the omens. Those are all spoken words. And as we do those, we begin to bring the divine energy, power and wisdom and love deeper and deeper within our own beings, but also within the community as a whole. So the use of the word I am. We've heard a lot of teachings about this. The best definition of I am that I am is that it means God within me is. That I am presence within me is. This is why when I say the misuse of this energy is I am sick. No, God's never sick. I am angry. No, God's never angry. That's misuse of the purity of that energy. So when we begin to use it in the right way, right being the way that aligns us with the purity of the divine, we begin to change how we use it. But here's what's key, and sometimes this is not taught very well. This is not saying the affirmations from Dan or from you, human form. It's saying it from the I am presence through me. The God within me is abundance. Okay? Subtle but powerful change. And as you begin to connect, as we first started doing in this last, I had you go up to the I am presence. That's where you want to go to bring that energy down and then speak it out. And as you speak it, it's you putting it into the universe with the power and the energy coming from the divine. Does that make sense? It's a very subtle change, but very powerful. And as you begin to affirm from this position, you watch what starts to happen around you like that. So it's not me saying, it's the I am within me saying. And you'll begin to feel the difference because there's different energy that comes with it. So I wanted to share a couple quickly what Jesus, the master teacher, said. He said, while I am in the world, I am the light of the world. He never said, Jesus is the light of the world. He said the I am presence is. Huge distinction. Because remember what he said is, I'm not special. I did none of this. The Father is what he called the I am presence. Did it all. Through me. And you, he said, as I used last week, and I can do everything he did and more. So he said, well, the I am presence is in the world, in the physical. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world when you connect with the I am presence, not when you sit there being Dan. Or being whoever your name is. Because you know many people in this physical classroom called Earth that are not projecting light of God. Right? Now they have it within them, but it may be 70 feet above and it doesn't, it's a flicker of maybe it's in there somewhere. And you know other people you've met that is so bright that it just shines all over you and it's like, man, I want some more of that. But it's not them, it's that they're connected. Somehow they learned how to connect in a better way, which is exactly you and I can do. And that's what this is. This is another one he said. I am the resurrection and life. He did not say Jesus is. He said, I am presence, is the resurrection and life. For you and for me, if I connect. And finally, I am the way, the truth, and life. Not Jesus is. The I am presence is. The God within, and he knew this. He connected with it. And that's what he was teaching. He said, I'm here as a way shower to show you the way to connect with the I am presence within you, and each and every one of us can do that. And even do it better than you. So I wanted to end today with a couple of quick decrees that come from what he was teaching. And if you'll join in, we're going to do them 3 times. But I want you to begin to hear it now, because you got to speak it out. This is a spoken word going into effect. So let's do this 3 times. I am light. I am light. I am light. Second one, I am light, energy, and consciousness. I am light, energy, consciousness. I am light, energy, consciousness. I am invincible and victorious. I am invincible and victorious. I am invincible and victorious. I am everywhere in the consciousness of God. I am everywhere in the consciousness of God. I am everywhere in the consciousness of God. I am the spirit of joy. I am the spirit of joy. I am the spirit of joy. And finally, I am love in action. I am love in action. I am love in action. If you take these home and practice them, again, breathe up to the I am presence and let the I am presence energy speak through your power center. That's how you integrate the divine energy into you. And that's how you let the spoken word, the science of the spoken word, begin to transform your life. So finally, just to sum this up, breathe, get still, bring down the I am presence on a daily basis. The more you're willing to do this once, twice, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times a day, you're going to find something happen in your life. You will connect with the guidance and the love and the power. Be a doer of the word. Live out the power, wisdom, and love of the Godhead. This is only week 1. We're going to have an incredible couple of weeks. I invite you to come Tuesday night. We're going to take all this and go deeper and practice more, because that's what it's all about. It's about you and I practicing together, and we learn how to do this, and it begins to get integrated into who and what we do. Not changing us, remembering who we truly are. We're already spiritual beings in perfection. We just forgot. And we bought into what the ego says, that we're separate. We are not. We are connected with the divine source, creator of your life, and each other. And it's in that we build a community, one person at a time. In that incredible divine love without any conditions is how you transform the world. And that's how we become light to the world, which is what our challenge is as we go forward.